Hi, it's Christina from Cemetery of Choice, and I'm here with a news article today. And usually we would say honesty is the best policy, right? But honesty is not the best policy if you are trying to defend things that most people would find indefensible. And what we're looking at today is the Associated Press lamenting and rending their garment about Nebraska advancing a new law against second trimester abortions. So this is generally 13 or more weeks. So a proposal to outlaw a second trimester abortion procedure cleared a major hurdle, blah, blah, blah. Lawmakers gave the measure first round approval, blah, blah, blah. The bill would outlaw the use of clamps, forceps, tongs, or scissors, accurate, to perform what's known as a dilation and evacuation abortion, accurate. Abortion opponents refer to the procedure as a dismemberment abortion because it often requires doctors to remove a fetus in several pieces. First of all, dismemberment is not a word that the pro-lifers came up with. We have Leroy Carhart here. Where's Carhart's testimony? I don't have a picture of him. He describes how he does this. Carhart, my normal course would be to dismember that extremity, then go back and try to take the fetus out, foot or skull first, whatever end I can get to first. Question, how do you go about dismembering that extremity? Carhart, just traction and rotation, grasping the portion that you can get hold of, which would usually be somewhere up the shaft of the exposed portion of the fetus, pulling down on it through the os, that's the cervical opening, using the internal os as your counter traction and rotating to dismember the shoulder or hip or whatever it would be. Okay? And they're asking, when you do this, is the fetus still alive? And Carhart says, yes. And down here they ask, at what point does the fetus die during that process? And Carhart says, I don't really know. I know that the fetus is alive during the procedure most of the time because I can see fetal heartbeat on the ultrasound. So this is not that pro-lifers pulled this word dismemberment out of thin air, and this is not pro-lifers saying that this is done on live unborn babies that are fully formed. We are talking 12, 13 weeks plus. So that's into well into the second trimester of pregnancy. Now, I'm going to provide some sources, but this is a former abortion doctor named Anthony Levatino who describes how these procedures are done. And this is illustrated with drawings. Come on, play.
Second trimester surgical abortion called dilatation and evacuation, or D&E. A D&E is performed between 13 and 24 weeks of pregnancy. After administering anesthesia, the abortionist uses a weighted speculum, like this one, that opens the vagina widely. Because second trimester babies are so large, this greater access facilitates a late-term abortion. Late-term abortion requires that the cervix be prepared 24 to 48 hours in advance with laminaria. Laminaria is a type of sterilized seaweed that absorbs water over 8 to 12 hours and swells to several times its original diameter. Once removed, metal dilators can be used to further open the cervix as needed. Once the cervix has been stretched open, the suction tube is placed inside. A baby at 20 weeks gestation is as big as the length of my hand, from head to rump, not counting the legs. The suction machine is turned on, and pale yellow amniotic fluid surrounding the baby is suctioned out through the catheters. With babies this big, they don't fit through catheters this size. The baby's bones and skull are too strong to be torn apart by suction alone. This is a Sofer clamp. A Sofer clamp is made of stainless steel. It's about 13 inches long. The business end is about 2.5 inches long and 1/2 inch wide, and there are rows of sharp teeth. This is a grasping instrument. When it gets a hold of something, it does not let go. The abortionist uses this clamp to grasp an arm or leg. Once he has a firm grip, the abortionist pulls hard in order to tear the limb from the baby's body. One by one, the rest of the limbs are removed, along with the intestines, the spine, and the heart and lungs. Usually the most difficult part of the procedure is extracting the baby's head, which is about the size of a large plum at 20 weeks. The head is grasped and crushed. The abortionist knows he has crushed the skull when a white substance comes out of the cervix. This was the baby's brains. The abortionist then removes skull pieces. He removes the placenta and any leftover parts of the baby with a curette, scraping the lining of the uterus for any remaining tissue. The abortionist then collects the baby parts and reassembles them to make sure that there are 2 arms, 2 legs, and all the pieces. Once all the parts have been accounted for, the abortion is complete. For the woman, this procedure carries a significant risk of major complications, including perforation or laceration of the uterus or cervix, with possible damage to the bowel, bladder, and other maternal organs. Infection and hemorrhage can also occur, which can even lead to death. Future pregnancies are also at greater risk for loss or premature delivery due to abortion-related trauma and injury to the cervix.
Okay, now, if you're tempted to go, well, he's a right to lifer now, so he's not telling the truth. This is an article, where's it from? Page 1181. Well, I'll go up and look. With the use of forceps, fetal parts are grasped and the fetus and placenta are disarticulated as they are removed. This is dilation and evacuation at or beyond 20 weeks. This is a guide put out by IPASS. I've been unable to find out what IPASS stands for, but it's an international abortion advocacy organization that fights politically for legalization and availability of abortion throughout the world and trains clinicians in how to perform abortions. So this is not something some pro-lifers are putting out. Oops. And there you see the same instruments Dr. Levatino was describing. Okay, there's the forceps, and they described the procedure step by step, just as Dr. Levatino described it. So you don't have to take some pro-lifer's word for it. And here, this is a presentation by Dr. Melissa Haig, assistant clinical professor, and it's on these abortions. And the procedure, just as Dr. Levatino describes it, remove laminaria, insert the suction curette, and aspirate the amniotic fluid. Utilize Sofer clamps to remove fetal parts, typically the calvarium, that's the upper part of the skull minus the mandible, is last, and perform sharp curettage followed by suction to ensure that placenta is extracted and identify all fetal parts to ensure complete evacuation. So it is so disingenuous of them to talk about it as though this is, well, those abortion opponents refer to it as dismemberment. It often requires that doctors to remove a fetus in several pieces. No, it involves dismembering a living fetus. The bill's lead sponsor, we are talking about a procedure, eliminating a procedure that is barbaric. And then it kind of drifts off into what percent of abortions this is, which really isn't relevant. You can say that, oh, a small percentage of such and such. I mean, nobody would defend Jeffrey Dahmer by saying that he only killed a tiny percentage of men that went to gay bars in Milwaukee. Yeah, we wouldn't say that we would defend Ted Bundy because he only bludgeoned a small percentage of college co-eds to death. If this is barbaric and something that no baby deserves to have done to them, it doesn't matter whether it's done once or 10,000 or 100,000 or 1,000,000 times. It's still wrong to do it. But they try to weasel away from the fact that this really is dismembering a fully formed unborn baby while it is still alive. And if you want to defend it, you need to defend it as what it is.